Good morning, world, LinkedIn world. I'm just wanting to follow up. I'm not walking to work, so apologies for my attire and my tired look. I'm in my NHS rug today. I just wanted to follow up on yesterday's post where I talked about how those people who have the most success and the ones that are perceived to be working the hardest are often the most at risk to distress. So that's anxiety and depression, personality disorder, bipolar, etc. So when I talk about that, what I really mean is that often the drive to which makes people successful is often the very thought or anxiety around failing. And also those people have developed specific behaviours throughout their life which protects them from failing. And also when you have a certain amount of kind of success, you haven't really built up your tolerance levels to failure. And the reality is in life, people fail a lot. Believe me, I know this. And if you haven't built up your tolerance, then you fear it. And also you fear because often people, when they're striving for perfection, they set a bar for themselves, and then it's very difficult. You kind of start applying that same bar to everything, not wanting to ruin your reputation. So fundamentally, a lot of people who are successful or working hard, it comes from a fear of making mistakes, a fear of being judged, a fear of being evaluated negatively, a fear of making mistakes. And you can get very black and white in your thinking, so you're either all in or you're all out. And you will label yourself a hard worker, and you will love potentially be seen as the successful guy or girl in your business and the person who is a specialist in certain topics, etc. So when we talk about mental health, we often talk about disorders, but really it's so much more complex than that in business. And when we talk about human behaviour and how the fact that we all have negative human behaviours, we don't really like to associate ourselves with the world behaviour, but fundamentally we have human behavioural problems. We talk about organisations and organisations really truly affecting people's mental health, but I think fundamentally we also have to realise that people run organisations, and what happens is when you have very successful people in business, you all tend to work together and they condition each other. So you're influencing other people's decisions, you're role modelling behaviours to other people. Therefore, that's why we end up with cultures who are staying late, well into the night, who also fear making mistakes together, who don't really give each other feedback. Sorry, it's a bit light over here, so I'll just cross over the road. So we end up conditioning each other. So you might be a young graduate entering an organisation, for example, already got some perfectionism traits. You really did well at university, strive to do really well, have done really well. Enter into an organisation, and of course you're surrounded by like-minded people who are all role modelling the same types of behaviours. So then you become to learn those same types of behaviours. You might not have wanted to work to 5 o'clock, but then suddenly you realise that in order to get your work done, you have to. And then of course you fear that negative evaluation if you leave earlier, or what that might mean for your reputation or your career, for example. A basic example, but it's probably true amongst most companies. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is that mental health is usually more complex than what we're talking about. We've got fundamental human behaviour problems, and we have a huge struggle to tolerate some of the uncomfortable emotions that we feel. So let's all think about that today as we go out into the workplace. Our colleagues are human. We all tend to have these same maladaptive ways of thinking and narratives and criticisms of ourselves. But also remember that, perfection doesn't exist, no matter how hard we try. So have a lovely day.